Here?
No, I sent her an ad about you. Yeah, in English-speaking Chabad house in Chadera. She
All
lives
right.
near Chadera.
Okay, amazing. She's in north of Zichron Yaakov. She's in, you're not sure.
She was in Givat Olga, and now she's in Kesoria, but she knows the area.
Oh, in Caesarea, is like actual Caesarea with the Romans are, or
Nearby.
in Olga still Caesarea? Because there's a neighborhood in Olga, it's brand new, called Caesarea.
No.
The Caesarea that's up north, just north of us. Yeah, I'm in Olga.
Yeah. She was in Olga on the beach.
Well, that's where I am. Thank God. I have a beautiful view from the balcony of my apartment. Thank God. Okay, there's one person here. I don't know on my live. Hi, thank you for joining. Can you hear me? Bezrat Hashem, they can hear me. All right. I think it's good. I'm gonna get a glass of water here. Hi.
Nice to have you. You live here, though.
I live in Chadera.
Oh, okay.
So on the other side of the country, but.
No, I lived in Netanya. So
Okay, yeah, neighbors. Yeah, exactly. Bro.
Israel, all over
America. Yeah, it's crazy. Wow. You couldn't find a place, and finally here, you're happy here in the end?
My husband, was a child survivor from the Shoah.
Wow, yeah.
And when he was released and he joined the Air Force and...
Oh, so military he was...
No, I wish we would have had a better pension. He joined he worked for an international company, very much like IBM.
Mm-hmm.
And it transferred us every 1 to 2 years for 20 years.
He would move less in the military.
Wow. And then he was midterm and I came to Israel. And we lived in the States. We lived in Pennsylvania, New Jersey.
Where in Pennsylvania?
Philly.
Oh, the Sitra Achra. From Pittsburgh.
New Jersey, Wisconsin, Illinois, Indiana, Colorado, California.
Oh wow, literally straight across.
Yeah, and then here I came to a 1-year program 40 years ago.
Wow.
To do Holocaust studies, and that was on the kibbutz up north.
Wow.
Tzfat, Netanya 3 times, Ma'aleh Adonim, Rat Beit Shemesh. I always come back to Jerusalem.
It's the home.
Yeah. Oh,
it's the headquarters, the HQ. Oh yeah? Wow. That's beautiful. I love it. You guys are still holding by Simchas Torah the whole year? Oh, I saw a sign for it. Yeah, all right. Mazel tov. No tachnun. They didn't do it on Tu B'Shvat, did they?
Yeah.
What a waste. Because you don't have to say tachnun on Tu B'Shvat anyway. You might save it for Thursday, you know? I hear what people that Monday, one day before, push it off. Isn't the kid a little yellow? You know, you push it off. He's a doctor, you know, he's not there yet. That's good. All right. Yeah, no rush. They're Jews. They're running on Jewish people time. No big deal. What? All time? LL time. Every landing always late. That's what LL stands for. They actually are. They're doing much better since the new owner took over. There's a new owner. Took over like right during 2023 area. He like doubled sales. And he's a Frum guy, yeah. Not like Frum, but he's like Shomer Shabbos, Shomer Kashrus. He added Nagelwassers to the plane. It's cute. He's the one who added it? Well, yeah, he's the one who added it, yeah. They didn't have it before, yeah.
They flew a lot last year.
Yeah.
You landed in Los Angeles, but 14, 15 hours later.
Right. You wake up 14, 15 hours later.
Actually, I don't know.
That's it? Goldberg, how are you?
Welcome.
Tyou very much. Good to see you.
like your answer. It's a tough question.
What was the question? A halachic.
I'll show it to you.
Is it someone sick? No.
Eliyahu Hanavi. So to keep my daughter, we want to start a juice company because my daughter says every time she can't talk well so much yet. She says Eliyahu Anavim every time. We're like hilarious.
You know what? You're about to start. You really want to look at the question?
I might not answer it, but the question is interesting as it exists by itself.
It's
I'm
a
sure.
good question. It's going to come up.
During the chat.
No, it's going to come up during your shlichus.
Oh, okay. Looking forward to
Just read it to yourself.
All right. Whew.
So what's there to learn about tattoos?
What's that?
What's there to learn about tattoos?
Don't do them. Don't do them. That's what's there to learn. Too many complications. We're giving free ones after the talk. Actually, you want?
You want a tattoo? Take a pen or pencil and then wash it off.
Yeah.
You're gonna learn the psychology of what you wanted.
We could. Yeah, we can talk about it. Sure. I have my own theories on
I
it
was wondering about
that I've seen. My theory on it has proven to be true almost 90% of the time.
it. Sounds like a good theory.
It's pretty solid, scientifically speaking. Wow. Hatzlacha Rabba. That's what you say.
I really like this answer. Look at the rabbi's answer.
I'm not sure that I have.
Isn't that a great answer?
That's a great answer. Every time someone asks me a question that I'm not sure what the answer is to, I always go, "That's a great question," and then they go, "Yeah, but what's the answer?" I go, "I don't have one because it's such a great question. I can't give an answer." Yeah, start. Okay, perfect. That's a very good one. It's tough. You should ask a campus shliach. It'd be much easier. They would have much more experience dealing with that sort of thing, because literally every other student nowadays is falling under this category.
God forbid.
Chas v'shalom. Yeah. Everyone should have a refuah. Yeah, it is what it is. Happens. It's not a singular case, that's for sure. I can tell you the Chabad approach in general.
Yes.
The Chabad approach in general is always to be Makarev.
Yes.
You always bring in with the right, push away with the left, or is it the other way around?
You know, the Chabad approach is to be positive and to, you know.
Yeah,
Well,
get them to do the
you're always
mitzvahs
a
that
Jew.
you can possibly do with them, and that's leave the rest alone.
Yeah.
You don't talk about politics at the dinner table. That's the general rule.
And I think it's very wise.
Yeah, it's a tough one, but also shalom bias, things like that. Yeah, you figure out where you can compromise and where you can't.
We're supposed to be kind rather than correct.
Exactly.
That's another general principle.
And you can't force anyone to do anything that if they're not going to listen to you. So the Rebbe many times would tell people like, I want to tell you what to do, but you're not going to listen to me, so I'm not going to tell you. So I envy you. It's a situation, Baruch Hashem, I won't have to deal with Bezrat Hashem for a while, like personally, but let's
Hopefully Mashiach will come and make it.
exactly. Today, right now, why not? Shalom Aleichem.
You ran for 479.
Thank God. How's it going? Ratner? Yehuda Ratner. Nice to meet you. David Breslavsky.
I need you. I have to leave after we teach in 15 minutes. So.
Thank God. It's a good excuse. Nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Just introduce you.
All right, sure.
Okay, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining. We have a special honor of hosting Rabbi David Wisłowski. But it's not random that he comes in this week because this week is Parshat Yisro, Parshat about the Ten Commandments, Thursday with. And the famous question is why is a Parsha with the biggest story of Judaism in all time have the name Yisro, someone who was a convert? Right, there's a lot of explanations, but the Rebbe talks about how Yisro personified the idea of being a priest and then trying out every single type of unholiness and ultimately transforming it to holiness. And that's our job in the world, is to transform the unholiness into holiness and to go into even the deepest parts of the world, the lowest parts, and transform the spark. And that is pretty much David Wisłowski in a nutshell. So he doesn't even have to speak because I already said it is a whole story.
See you guys.
Point of it. But without further ado, David.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Very honored to be here. Thank you very much. I'm not a convert like Yisro, but everyone in my family is basically, I'm surrounded by a lot of converts in my family. Thank God. And I guess I'm just going to start from the beginning and kind of go through. And if you guys have questions or anything you want to shout out or as we go along, you're more than welcome to. But it's as for bringing in as much as possible, and be very happy to have it. So I grew up in a very small town. It's called Beaver, Pennsylvania. You've heard of it?
Absolutely.
There you live there. You've heard of it? You're from Pittsburgh or what?
Went to Penn.
Okay, it's right down the street. All right, beautiful. So Penn State. So Beaver Stadium. Penn and University, Philadelphia. Got it. So I'm from a small town. It's about 4,000 people in my town or village, whatever you want to call it. And there's only one Jewish family in the whole town. So it's just my family is the only Jewish family in this whole town. And the reason that we moved there was my father's a lawyer, and there's a courthouse in that town, so he got a job at the courthouse, so we moved there. He grew up in an even smaller town in Ohio called East Liverpool, which never heard of exactly. Yeah, it's in the middle of nowhere. It's known for having the world's largest teapot. The world's largest teapot is there. So yeah. What does that have to do with teapot? They do pottery there. There was a big pottery city back in the day, and they made the world's largest teapot at one point. That's their claim to fame. There's literally nothing else in this place, but it's even smaller than the 4,000 people town I grew up in. So my dad moved from a small town to a slightly bigger town, and in his town growing up, there was a strong Jewish community. But when he moved to our town, there's no Jews there. So if we wanted to do anything Jewish, we would have to either drive back to where my grandparents lived, my Rabbi and Zadie, in this small town, and they would do services. They would get all the people together who were older than retired age that were left in this town that were still keeping the synagogue alive. Like once a month, they would come together, do services, fly in a rabbi to do the services, and then fly him back out. Or we would drive another 30, 45 minutes to the next closest city that had a synagogue in it. And I grew up like going to a Reformed synagogue, the one that was like 30, 45 minutes away. And in this Reformed synagogue, it was a very limited education. So the majority of my education was coming from my Bubby and Zadie and their old school traditional style. They spoke Yiddish. They didn't keep Shabbos, but they kept separate dishes and a kosher style kind of thing. Even in my house, we kept a kosher style. Like if we're going to eat cheeseburgers, only on the paper plates. So, so it was a very interesting way to grow up is that I had this Bubby and Zadie who were very old school, very traditional, and very, very proud to be Jews, and made sure to make it a point that their grandchildren also were very proud to be Jews. So all the time they'd say, you know, you're Jewish, you should be proud to be a Jew, and that's like was the mindset. But what year was I born? 96. So I had this weird upbringing because they were telling me my whole life you should be very proud to be Jewish, but in the same the same light, it was kind of oxymoronic, because we were very proud to be Jews. We were told to be proud that you should be a Jew. But then when it came to doing anything Jewish that was slightly inconvenient or out of the way, it was like, it's like we're Jew, emphasis on the ish kind of thing. Like it wasn't. We did Yiddishkeit when it was convenient for us, but so it was really, really weird and kind of contradicting that in one light we're being told you're Jewish, you should be proud to be Jewish, but on the other side of it, it seems like it's a very important thing. We should value it more than anything else, it seems like. But then when it comes to actually doing Jewish stuff, that gets in the way of us, the Gashmias and the. That's everybody in America. Yeah, exactly. So it's a very typical American assimilated upbringing. And my Alta Zedi, my great grandfather, when he came over fresh off the boat from Moldova, he was like very, very, very frum, all things considered. Moldova, originally Romania, then Moldova, depending on what year and who controlled what and where they got kicked out of. Exactly. which goy was angry at the Jews that week? That's where they lived. So when he came over, he was like my father tells me he remembers going to Seder, Pesach Seder at his grandfather's house, and it would be like 6-7 hour long Seder, and that was like a typical thing back in the day. Like, yeah, of course you're going to do a 7 hour long Seder. Now Baruch Hashem, Rabbi Goldberg does it a little bit quicker than that here, but on the first night at least. The second night, I don't know. I wasn't here for the.
There's only one night.
Okay, fair enough. And that's it.
Largest in Israel.
Right, and
Max 3.5.
I was there. Yeah. Thank God. I'm good friends with your son-in-law, your newest son-in-law. Taking pictures back in Crown Heights together. So he remembers like his Alter Zedi was like a very frum guy, had separate beds, like the whole Taharas Mishpach, all these things. And so, but very quickly, like my Zedi was not a frum guy. He had a pair of tefillin from his bar mitzvah, but he never wore it. He wasn't Shomer Shabbos. Kashrus was like he ate fish and stuff out, but not seafood, not treif, not pig or anything like that. And then you get to my parents, who were once they sent me to a Reform Sunday school, and after my bar mitzvah, they said, all right, we don't have to do, we did our obligation, we're done. We did our duty, and now you guys can do whatever you want. You want to make bacon at the house, make bacon at the house. Shkoyach, who cares? So that's kind of very quickly, it turned into this sort of thing where I had this upbringing that I have a very strong traditional grandparents and background, but typical American style assimilation happens in 1 or 2 generations and everything's gone. So I had this very strong Jewish pride, but I had no foundation in terms of real Yiddishkeit, like what real Yiddishkeit is. It was me being a Jew was just me saying I'm a Jew. And growing up in the town that I did, that I was the only Jew. I had a very strong Jewish identity, but it didn't mean anything practically in my day-to-day life. So what does that look like? To me, I was exactly like every other Christian kid in my town, except on December 25th, they woke up and opened presents. I woke up and watched cartoons. That was the difference. Of course, Chinese food in the movies, obviously. But other than that, I was exactly the same as everyone else. So it was a very weird thing. But when I would introduce myself to everyone, I would say, hey, I would go by my Goyish name. Now I'm David. But back then I was Zayn. I'd say, hey, I'm Zayn and I'm a Jew. And they would be like, I've never met a Jew. And I was like, me neither. So it was a very interesting way to grow up, to be the authority on what Yiddishkeit is, what Judaism is to the majority of people, but know nothing about it. So it was a very weird mix, and very tough in terms of my own identity and understanding myself of like what does it really mean? It seemed to me that Judaism was just something I said, but it was just lip service, if that makes sense. So it wasn't anything real to it. So when I was a senior in high school, I started exploring other things. I read this book called Siddhartha, which is about Buddhism, about this small boy who's very smart and he's going on this spiritual journey. He's learned everything there is to know in his small town. And so he joins another nomadic group that's like a bunch of crazy people, and he joins them and he learns everything there is to learn from them. And he goes basically from group to group to group. He moves all over the world, and with all these different groups, and he's looking for what's the truth of everything in the universe, what's the true meaning of happiness, how can I truly be happy and know everything. what is true, quote unquote true. And basically he goes through all these people and he finds out that nobody knows what the truth is. Everyone's kind of like doing their own thing, but no one really knows. And eventually he gets to this river, and he understands the river as being like the best analogy of what it means for the energies of the universe, how they kind of operate. And I resonated much with this river mushal, this river analogy, that when you look at one spot in the river, there's water in the river, right? You look at one spot in the river, and the water doesn't move up or down, right? But the water is constantly flowing. But you're looking at one spot, there's always water in that one spot, but it's constantly different water. So the level of water doesn't rise or lower, unless it's raining or something, obviously you get. But when you're looking at a river for a few minutes, you see that the level stays the same. You're looking at the same exact spot. It's always filled with water, but it's never the same exact water. And he said that's basically what the universe is. So you have all this energy in the world. It's constantly moving, but it looks like it's not. And you have physics that can back that up as well. You know, we have atoms that are constantly moving, changing electrons with things next to them, but it's still a solid thing. So I was like, okay, I think I'm a Buddhist now. So I started getting deep, because that made the most sense to me out of anything I've ever read. So I started learning about Buddhism, meditating, and getting really deep into that sort of stuff. And then I also took a philosophy class when I was a senior in high school. And that philosophy class blew my mind apart, because I was learning about Aristotle and Plato and all these other crazy names. And trying to also come to these guys were thinking about, okay, what's the ultimate purpose and meaning of the universe? And you have Plato and his cave theory, and it's like people discover the truth, and then they see that the world is not really what they thought it was before, because they're learning new things, and that cycle can go on and on and on. You're constantly learning new things. You're trying to tell the people that are still in the cave, hey, there's another world out there, and they're like, you're crazy. Exactly. So I was getting really deep into this sort of stuff, but there's a bit of a problem inherent in these schools of thought, which I didn't realize right away, but it started to fester on the backside that I wasn't aware that it was happening. Is that when you're learning these sorts of things and people are questioning, okay, what's the purpose of the universe, especially these secular philosophers, when you don't have Hashem in this ideology, in this thinking, you come back to the conclusion that there's really no purpose in being alive. There's no point. We're here, it's all kind of random, and you end up with like this YOLO style, this you only live once kind of mindset. And you start thinking that there's no purpose, there's no point, and so you just enjoy yourself as much as you can and indulge in all the pleasures, and then you die. And that kind of is the conclusion of these secular philosophers. And when it comes to Buddhism, it's something I didn't understand until much later on. So now I'm going to segue into, I was in college, I was in university, secular kid, tattoos. I'm a wrestler, I did MMA, fighting, all this sort of stuff. So I was getting tattoos. I'll get into that maybe in a minute, the reason I was getting a lot of these tattoos. But when I was in college, when you grow up Reform in America, typically you're told that anyone in a black hat, and Chabad wasn't so big when I was growing up, so not the whole world didn't know about Chabad necessarily at that point. It wasn't until I got into college that it really took off, that it's now globally known in the same way. But I was told growing up that anyone in a black hat, because Chabad guys, they don't really have long payas, they have a little bit of a different style. But to me, a black hat, a beard, and payas, jacket, all the same to me. I didn't know the difference. I couldn't tell the difference. So I was told growing up in this Reform shul that anyone with a black hat and a beard doesn't think you're really Jewish, hates you, is a bigoted idiot and isolated and doesn't want anything to do with the world, hates you, and you should hate them. So I grew up with this baseless hatred, sinas chinam, that I never even met a Frum guy in my life. Even though my dad and I would drive into the city every now and then, sometimes on Erev Shabbos, not knowing that it's Erev Shabbos or not caring that it's Erev Shabbos. And there'd be guys standing outside the grocery store asking us to wrap this thing. And I didn't know what they were. I didn't know who these guys were. I just know that my dad told them, we did it already today, leave us alone. And I knew that if I told these guys I did it already today, they would leave me alone. I didn't know what it was that I did already, but I knew if I told them, I'm good. So I never spoke with anybody. I didn't know what it was. And I was never exposed, never had a conversation with like a Frum person. So when I got into college, like most universities across the world now, they have a campus shliach, a Chabad guy that's there to harass the students and ask them if they're Jewish. So I went to the same college as my brother. My brother was there. We were there at the same time in Cleveland, Ohio. And whoever was from Shaker, I forget who. You, right? So I was on campus, and there's a campus rabbi there. Of course, the big gingy beard, black hat, and he would walk down the sidewalk, and I would cross the street, walk down, and cross over, so I wouldn't have to talk to him. And I did my whole first semester without speaking to him once, and I thought I'm doing great because I had other Jewish friends that they're like, I can't get rid of this guy. He's so annoying. He's calling me constantly. I'm like, oh man, I'm getting off scot-free. I haven't talked to him once. So it happened to be my second semester. I'm leaving my classroom, and I'm up the stairs, and I can see down by the only exit from my building that he's there with the table, sitting there waiting for people to walk by. So I was like, it's like, it hits you in the stomach. You're like, oh, I have to walk by this guy. So I walk down the stairs, and the doorway is like pretty wide, so it's like 4 doors, and he's on the one side. So I figure, okay, if I go to the farthest door, I put my hand over my face and walk like this, for sure he's not going to notice me because it's totally normal to walk with your face over your hand over your face. So I'm walking by like this, and he calls me out by name. We've never met before, but he knows my name. He met my brother, so he knows of my family, but we never met, but he knows my first name. So he calls me, and I'm right at the door as he says my name. I'm like, man, I have to make a decision. I can either walk out, pretend I didn't hear him, right, and keep going on with this game of cat and mouse where I'm trying to avoid him, don't have to talk to him. Or I could be like, you know what? I'm going to stand up to this guy. I'm going to turn around. I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to ask him all these questions. I'm going to make him out to be the monster that I've made him up to be in my mind. And then I don't have to deal with it the rest of my college career. I get 3 more years of not having to deal with this guy because I told him off right here and there. So whatever. So you know what? I'm going to do it because I'm a chutzpahdik guy. I'm a fighter. So, I like confrontation. So I'm going to turn around and ask him all these questions. At the time, I'm a very liberal college student. So I'm asking him political questions, gay marriage, all these different things that I can think of that are like hot topics, trying to get him to say something that's exactly controversial. I want him to say something that's not on color, so I can call him out for it and be like, haha, I was right. You're an evil person. Don't talk to me ever again. And then walk out all dignified, and I'm the righteous person here. So I start asking him all these questions. Answer after answer, I'm getting more and more frustrated because everything he's saying, I agree with every single word. I was so angry. I was like, I can't believe I agree with everything this guy is saying. I was like, there's no way. I was like, I was wrong this whole time. What's going on? I couldn't believe it. So I was like, this is what you think? He goes, not what I think. It's what the Torah says. And I was like, there's no way the Torah says this. No way. He goes, yeah, of course. So we have this whole thing. And eventually the conversation of intermarriage comes up. So my dad's brother married my mom's sister. You can do the West Virginia math. Brothers married sisters. That's it. Not so crazy. In the Chabad world, happens all the time. So brothers married sisters. My mom's an Orthodox Geras. Now, we didn't grow up frum. By the time she married my dad, she wasn't frum. But, yeah. Good to see you, Levi. Levi's a good friend. We go back to Colorado together.
Where in Colorado?
Denver.
And you too?
Denver, too. Look at that.
West side, east side?
I was on the west side. Yeah. East side? We're on the east side. We're on the east side. I don't remember. I was only there a year. In and out. Levi was gone before me, right after me. Right after me, something like that. Yeah. We were both in and out at the same time. Good to see you, Levi. So I was asking him all these. Oh, so my mom's brother married my dad's sister. No. My mom's sister married my dad's brother. There we go. 2 sisters married 2 brothers. You got it? You're following. All right. So my mom is an Orthodox Geras. And my aunt, my mom's sister, is not. Now, if you remember earlier in the story, I was telling you how my Bubby and Zadie telling me my entire life growing up, you should be proud to be Jewish. You're a Jew. You should know you're a Jew. You should be proud to be Jewish. So they didn't just say that to me. They said that also to my aunt's kids, my brother's kids, my uncle's kids, because it's the same set of grandparents. For both, technically, my cousins and I were the exact same DNA genes, the same strand of DNA, unless there's something that went crazy between whatever can happen in DNA. But we grew up almost exactly the same. We grew up relatively close to each other, within 15 minutes of each other. They were just across the border in Ohio, and I was right in Pennsylvania. Both grew up in a very small town with hardly any Jews. Both with the same grandparents telling us our entire lives, you're a Jew, you should be proud to be Jewish. My cousin was president of one of the youth groups, of the Jewish youth groups, kept kosher, kept Shabbos growing up. And when right before I got to college, their youngest son, they had moved to Akron, Ohio, and they were going to the Chabad in Akron at the time, and they loved Chabad. I didn't understand it because I was like a frum guy, that's crazy, don't go there, that's wild at the time, but they loved Chabad, and their youngest son became bar mitzvah age. And so my uncle went to the shliach and was like, hey, I want my son to have his bar mitzvah here. I want him to get called up to the Torah, have an aliyah. And the shliach told him, no. Why? Because his wife is my mom's sister. If you remember, my mom's an Orthodox Garris. She is not. They're not Jews. Halakhically, they're not Jews. They grew up the exact same way as me their entire lives, but being told their whole lives that they're a Jew, and now all of a sudden, they're going to a place that they absolutely love, a place that they agree that these people are the authority on Judaism. They know what's actually Jewish and what isn't, and they're telling them that they're not Jewish. And it was, it was tough. Their entire world, their entire identity is basically being ripped out from underneath them. And I saw how devastated my cousins were. I saw like the war that my uncle went to against Chabad. He was like, everything about Chabad is terrible. Like he went from one extreme to the other overnight, just from one conversation. But he wasn't mad at Chabad. He was mad at himself for not, keeping to Yiddishkeit. And it didn't help that his grandparents were endorsing everything he was doing along the way, and also telling the kids that they're Jewish. It was everything was working against them. But in that moment, I saw how devastated their entire family was. And I just kept saying how grateful I am that my mom had an Orthodox conversion, that I don't have to deal with this, because I knew if I didn't have Yiddishkeit, who knows if I'd still be alive, basically, is like where I was at that point in my life. Because my identity was so solely based on being a Jew. Like that's who I was. If I wasn't a Jew, then I wouldn't know who I was. I'd be completely lost. And I don't know what would happen. So I'm telling the shliach this, that I'm so grateful that my mom had an Orthodox conversion. And if you remember, I said before, my brother went to the same university as me, so the shliach knew my brother. My brother also told the shliach that our mom's a convert. But because we're not frum, the shliach assumed it must not be an Orthodox conversion, they must not actually be Jewish. So after I tell the shliach ended up telling me years later at one of our friends' weddings, I told him, I was like, I did such a good job avoiding you the whole first semester that I was on campus. And he goes, I have to confess something actually. He's like, I was avoiding you. I didn't think you were actually Jewish. That's how you got away from me. So I didn't do a good job. He did a good job of avoiding me. So it worked out. We were avoiding each other. It was really funny. But I thought I did a good job, but I wasn't. He knew exactly who I was, knew exactly where I was, saw me crossing the street all the times. Anyway, when I told him that my mom's an Orthodox Jew, you could see a little light bulb went off in his head. So he stopped and he goes, hey, do you want to learn this week's Parsha? I was like, yeah, sure. I'll learn a silly Bible story with you. Why not? So we started learning that week's Parsha. Don't know which Parsha it was, a long time ago. And it's the first time I learned anything with Chassidus, with the Rebbe's Chassidus. And all these ideas started coming up that I had learned before in Buddhism and in all these secular philosophers. And I was like, whoa. I'm like, wow, that's just like this in Buddhism. I'm like, whoa, that's just like what Plato said here. And the shliach would be like, yeah, it's similar, but it's not the same. It's close, but not the same. But it was the first time that I realized that all these ideas that I was searching for in all these other places were actually all in Yiddishkeit. And I was really blown away by it. And so he asked me, what are you doing next week? And I said, I'll do this again. This was pretty cool. And so we kept doing, and then I started going to Shabbos meals. And then by the end of my first semester, he said I should go to yeshiva. And I said no. I said I wasn't like frum yet. I was really into the ideas of the philosophy and the esoteric ideas of Chassidus, but it wasn't like frumkeit wasn't for me. And I told him I needed to get an internship because it's the only way I'm going to get a job and be a useful member of society and all these things. And so it happened to be that Onward Israel was partnering with My Note, which is the Bolshev yeshiva here in Yerushalayim. for Chabad. And what you do is you go to yeshiva for two months, and then you do an internship for 2 months, and you learn in yeshiva at night. And I was like, okay, fine. I get 2 birds. I make the shliach happy, and I get to be happy. So we both get it. And I went to this yeshiva, and I was blown away, and I absolutely loved it, and made me really, really excited to be Jewish and frum. And that's pretty much it. I have a whole second half of the story or whatever. It doesn't. That was 2016. Yeah, almost 10 years ago. Yeah, but it wasn't like I went to yeshiva and then I just went, skyrocketed. It was like I went to yeshiva and I promised my mom I'd go back to college, finish my degree, and I fried out. I became not frum, and then I was doing like a very much so up and down thing for a very, very long time. And it wasn't until right before 2 years before Colorado that I was living in San Diego at the time. I'll skip around all the parts, but basically I'd become very frum. I went back to college, and when you're the only frum guy in college in that sort of environment where literally everything that they do is against everything that you stand for, that's literally what college is. It's really, really wild. It's very hard to keep it especially when you're the only frum kid on campus. Like there's no one else, there's no other Baal Teshuvas, you're the only one. And so very quickly I dropped down, but it wasn't like so clean. If I had done it more clean, I would have been much happier. And I'll explain. So at the time, I was still like holding on as much as I could to my Judaism. We call it white knuckling. You know what white knuckling is? You squeeze on something so tight that your knuckles turn white, and then what happens very shortly after is your whole arm becomes exhausted, and then you can't grab onto anything at all. So that's basically what was happening with me in my Judaism. Instead of taking a little bit at a time that I could handle, I was trying to hold on to it so tightly, but by the other hand, trying to get all the gashmias and all the treif and everything. I wasn't taking it in the right speed, especially being back on a college campus. If I had stayed in yeshiva, I probably could have gotten away with that. But when I lived in a secular campus, it's almost impossible. My shliach tried to warn me many times, but I'm a college student. I know everything, so I didn't listen to him. But what happened is I would wake up at 5:30 in the morning. I would meet my shliach on the corner of a street. He would be, Mendy Alevsky. You know him? Alevsky's in Ohio. Okay. Sasankins are cousins. All right. They're all in Ohio. All right. So he would pick me up in his van that was full of toys and dirt and food. Toyota Sienna or whatever they are that every single Chabad guy has. So he would pick me up in that. It would be 5:30 in the morning. The sun's not out. We're driving in the back streets of Cleveland. No one's awake, so he's driving very, very fast. He has his head in his phone. He's doing the morning brachas. He has it also playing on the radio. He's not looking. He's speeding down the street. Should have waited till. And I'm also davening on the other side of the car, but not doing morning brachas, just to stay alive. Yeah, exactly. White knuckling, exactly. We'd get to this Litvish shul, we'd mikvah, we'd daven shacharis, and then he would drive me back to campus, and I would go right into the cafeteria on school, and I would eat bacon and eggs. And that's like very much so what I would do for almost the rest of my college time was basically this back and forth life. I was living a double life, which it doesn't work because the whole time I was at if I had taken it slowly, it probably would have worked, but I wanted to do everything. I wanted to live my entire college life and I wanted to live my entire Jewish life at the same time, and it doesn't work. So I would be davening, yeah.
When did you get your first tattoo?
I got my first tattoo when I was 16. Yeah, I was in high school.
Tell us a little bit about it.
All right, let's switch over to that. Yeah, it's good. Sure. Yeah, no, it's good. Let's transition over. Yeah. So when I was 16, I got my first tattoo. It's across the top of my back. It says Biachad Anachnu Achim. If you let's go to the mikvah, I'll show you. They'll give you a whole tour. So I'll take off the jacket. You can see a little bit more. Exactly. So I got my first tattoo when I was 16. It says Biachad Anachnu Achim. My brother and I, Biachad Anachnu Achim. Together we are brothers. So my brother and I have the same exact matching tattoos across the top of our back, big bold Torah script letters. And we have a really cool picture in front of Mitzvah Ramon where we're shirtless, and you can see it's really cool. Whatever. Back in the day when I was still secular. So I got my first tattoo when I was 16. The reason I got the tattoo was because everyone else in my school was getting tattoos. And like I said before, I'm the only Jew in my school. And all my friends were getting yashka tattoos, cross tattoos, all these sorts of crazy things. And me and my very best friend, we would make fun of everyone for getting all these yashka tattoos. Like every single person has a cross or a yashka, something like Corinthians, whatever it is, a quote on their arm, something. And we were making fun of them. And then he went and got a cross tattoo. And I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, okay, so I have to get a tattoo. And it's going to be a very Jewish tattoo. So I went and I got this tattoo. My parents signed off on it, and so my brother and I got matching tattoos, and says together we are brothers. And my parents thought, okay, that's going to be the end of it. I get one, it was going to hurt, I wasn't going to like it, and then we were going to be done. Very shortly after, I got one on my knuckle, a Magen David on my, not the whole one, but just the little one there. Because I still wanted to get a job, and I didn't want people to. I wanted to hurt getting a job. I can put a ring over it or something, it's fine. And so and that sort of started happening was me getting these tattoos to prove to everybody that I'm a Jew. That's where it started. And here's my theory on why people get tattoos. You were asking. I've noticed, specifically with Jews, 100%, but almost everybody, the reason that somebody wants to get a tattoo is because they see the dissonance of who they are, where they are now, and where they want to be, or who they want to be seen as or viewed as. So the quick fix to getting to that place is getting a tattoo. Because if I get a tattoo, I don't actually have to put in the work to become that person who the tattoo will show that I am.
Little do they know that that's one thing against Judaism.
I knew it was against Judaism to get a tattoo. I just didn't care.
For everybody else in the secular world, there's no restrictions.
There's no restrictions, right? Yeah, they get on a Tuesday for no reason. Which, believe me, I also have tattoos that are. My arms are too big. My shirt is too small. One of the two. I have like Lord of the Rings and Star Wars tattoos and Marvel tattoos. I have like silly stuff for no reason. Also, everyone has, especially in the secular world. But I've noticed across the board, almost always, that people want tattoos because they want to show they're a certain way whenever they see themselves as not quite being there yet, or their actions. They don't want to put in the daily actions to actually get to that place. So for me, I wasn't taking daily actions to be Jewish. And it happened to be that all my tattoos that I wanted at a very young age were all Jewish tattoos. Everything I got at a young age is Jewish. Everything. And as I became older and more frum, my tattoos became way less Jewish because I was trying to prove something else. I didn't have to prove to be Jewish anymore because I was doing it on a daily basis at that point. Even after I became frum, I was still getting tattoos.
How could you?
Because it's a taiva. You ever had a taiva before?
Yeah, but as a taiva, you knew that was against.
Even though you have a taiva is like a strong desire for something. So even though, believe me, you could go see Wall Street. How many frum guys are there that are also indulging in? So over here is Hineni. So this is one of my early tattoos, Hineni. I learned that I even when I was secular, I learned this thing about Hineni and it being like a very powerful thing that Hashem went and asked Adam Rishon, "Where are you?" And Adam ran away. But when he asked Avram and Moshe and Yaakov and everyone else, they all said Hineni, like, "Here I am. I'm standing in front. I'm ready. Yeah, wearing my heart on my sleeve. Like I'm exactly. So I was like, I really wanted a Hineni tattoo. And I have Israel's flag. I have Eretz Israel here on my the flag is. Oh, I should have worn looser clothes. There, so it's a small one on the back there. I got it on spring break. Oh, now it's gonna be stuck up there. We're gonna leave it for right now. So I started getting. Yeah, of course I knew. The thing is most people's argument that it's a forever thing. They're like, oh, when you get old, your skin is going to get saggy. It's going to look ugly. And I go, if my skin is saggy, I'm going to be ugly anyway. So what do I care? You know? What's that? Yeah.
The argument that I tried is that you're doing something which actually was part of another question I was going to ask you. If it's possible to pick it out.
Sure.
But it's something that you're going to regret. It's something that's like permanent. So wait a couple of years. Wait.
Think on it.
30. When you're being more normal, more sane, when you're thinking more about, and then if you want to do something that's
what age are the people that you're talking to? You think they're listening to you? They think that they know more than you know.
I have a responsibility. I'm just saying.
For sure, you have a responsibility, but I guarantee that that's not going to speak to them though, because their mindset is already that they know more than you. Especially if they're secular, they're going to say, "You frum guy, how do you know what I'm going through, what I'm thinking? You don't know nothing. You never had to go through it." So, sure. So I always lead with curiosity because whatever, I don't want to stigmatize. I don't want to tell them that it's wrong. So for me especially, I was a very rebellious kid. I still am rebellious. Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
So all these rabbis here, and they gotta change your name. You gotta change your name. When he came to the Rabbi said, "Don't change your name,
Afka.
because you're gonna rebel against anything which rebels against Hashem."
Oh.
So keep your name Nimrod. So the Rebbe was very into
Yeah. The rebels. There's a whole article about the Rebbe being a rebel.
The Rebbe loved the hippies.
Rebbe L. Yeah.
Did you ever think millions of my cousins got tattooed against their will? And I don't want to
Follow that?
anything
As far as I know, none of my family members were in the Holocaust.
still.
As far as I know, I have pretty strong records on my mom's side, which actually come from Austria, and they avoided the Holocaust altogether. But like other Jews had tattoos. Yeah.
Probably won't care.
Yeah. One, I didn't care. Or two, I thought, you know what, I'm empowering it. At one point, I'm sure I wanted to get a Holocaust number on my tattooed on me, because I thought that would be like empowering and honoring them in some way.
This girl, she was telling me when she got a tattoo, and it was like this pain like she never felt before, but it was so good, and she was like, "Oh, I want to get another."
Yes.
I mean, it's
Yeah. It's extremely exhilarating. You get a huge adrenaline rush from it. Huge, massive adrenaline rush, which is a big reason why people want to go back, because you get like this big, you feel alive.
It felt like this unbelievable, but it was like
The whole body's tingling. It's really, really wild. Yeah. Yeah, part of it is because of the pain, and there's something like I mean, you can look at Buddhist monks. It's very similar, where you have like these Buddhist monks that sit there, they light themselves on fire, chas v'shalom, or they sit there and then you see that they hit with sticks and they just take it like it's nothing. Now, when you get a tattoo, it's a very similar thing. You have to breathe, you have to meditate, you kind of have to get to this headspace of like out-of-body experience, sort of, to be able to sit there and deal with the and acute pain.
You can do that without getting it.
You could do that without getting a tattoo, yeah.
Did you tell your wife before you met her for the first time?
That I had tattoos?
Or was shocked that she saw you?
Which wife? First one or the second one? My both of them knew before. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if it says on my resume, my shidduch resume, if it says I have tattoos. I can't remember if it says there. For sure, the picture has me with a tattoo showing. Yeah. Because I didn't want it to be a surprise. Because I literally have a tattoo on, like, that you can't hide. Yeah. I was probably going to. I was getting close. I wanted one on my neck for sure, but I never. Baruch Hashem,
Is it possible to get it up?
You can. It's very difficult. It's extremely painful, and also you run into a lot of halachic ramifications. You have to get a heter to get any tattoo removed, because you're not allowed to get a cosmetic surgery for no reason, and there's no halachic obligation to get rid of your tattoos. Once it's on, there's no that he removes. Oh wow. Yeah, so you have to get a heter before you go to that, and you also have to be very careful, because there's certain. I've spoken with quite a few professionals about it that do tattoo removal, and if you do laser tattoo removal, they say also, like, if you're going to get a surgery to remove it, you shouldn't put yourself in unnecessary danger and things like that. And they said, okay, well, when you remove the tattoo, you're shooting it with lasers. The ink becomes dissolved and it gets absorbed into your blood. And they said there's sometimes you can have complications with the ink getting absorbed into your blood. It's risk, yeah. So the safest way to get rid of it would be a surgery where they slice off your skin and take it off, basically do a skin graft. Now, which is probably more painful. Maybe you go under anesthesia for it, so it's not so. But there's recovery, and you have permanent scarring and things like that. So it's but you're allowed to do cosmetic surgeries if you have a heter. For example, there's a heter is like a rabbinical leeway, yeah, permission to do something that might not necessarily fall under halachic guidelines. A heter and getting your tattoos removed, more often than not, is embarrassment. In the same way that it's a lot easier for a woman to get cosmetic surgeries and get a heter, and it's like almost not a problem. I know women in the Jewish community who have their eyebrows are tattooed on because of embarrassment or beautification things that they want. They got a heter for it. I've seen it happen. It's not very common, but I've seen it happen. To get a tattoo, they have a heter.
Please tell us a little bit about this.
About
You're trying to bring someone closer to Yiddishkeit,
yeah.
and they see this thing in your hand, and they're asking you, it must be
Yeah, often. Before I get into that, I want to answer your previous question of how do you approach a kid who's dealing with it. So I was at the Ohel once, the Frierdiker Rebbe's, and I was there, and this guy, campus shliach, was there with a bunch of his students. He was taking him to the Ohel, and he said he has a student there that really wants to get a tattoo. Keeps telling the rabbi, I want to get a tattoo. I want to get this tattoo. He's like, can you talk to him? Can you help him? So I was like, yeah, sure. So he comes over. He says, I was like, which one do you guys want to get tattoo? He's like, me. I was like, okay, cool. I was like, tell me about the tattoo you're getting. So he's like, what? I was like, yeah, tell me about it. I want to hear about this tattoo you're getting. So he starts telling me he wants to get this heartbeat that says mom on it or something like that, or his mom's name in a heartbeat thing on his ankle or whatever it was on his body somewhere. I was like, oh, that's very interesting. I was like, your mom is nifter? And he goes, no, my mom's still alive. Oh, your mom's still alive, bro. I'm like, okay, so cool. We that's easy because for sure you're not allowed to get a tattoo of someone who's dead. That's mamash a no-no. Dead. You're not allowed to get tattoos in honor of someone who's dead. You're not allowed to get any tattoos, but it's a double isser. It's a double violation of the law if you get it specifically for someone who's dead. Yeah. It says in the Torah that one of the reasons that people got tattoos that was to honor people who are dead. So specifically, you get a tattoo of someone who's dead. That's like another violation. You're gonna. No, it's the Raisa. That's the Raisa. That's for sure. If you're getting for someone that's for sure the Raisa. What do you mean? Yeah. That's a separate thing. It's a separate violation. And the tattoo is technically, the Raisa is a two-part thing. Rambam talks that it's a two-part thing to get a tattoo. Is one, you have to cut your skin and then you have to put ink on it, inside the cut. If you put ink and then you cut afterwards, it's not technically a tattoo. You didn't violate anything. But if you cut and then put ink inside, that's technically the tattoo, and that's its own violation. It's pretty much like that, yeah. It happens like simultaneously though. They take a needle, the needle goes under your skin, and then it drops a drop of ink when it goes under. So it's not really a cut like they did back in the day, but it's a penetration, a puncture of the skin, and they put a drop of ink after the puncture, and then they do it multiple times, very, very fast. Yeah. Like a sewing machine, exactly like a sewing machine. Yeah. So so this kid, he tells me he wants to get a tattoo of a heartbeat with the mom in it or something. So I was like, oh, that's very interesting. I was like, tell me, what's the meaning behind this tattoo? How come you want to get this tattoo? Like, you feel very strongly about your mom or something that you're willing to get it tattooed on your body. I know, because I felt so strongly about being a Jew. I wanted it all over my body. The bris wasn't enough. I wanted it to be everywhere. So he says, oh, I love my mom. She's helped me in my life so much, and I want to do this like so that I remember like how much I love her. And that she'll be like, and I was like, oh, that's amazing. You want to honor your mom. That's very, very beautiful. You love your mom. She's had such a big influence in your life. She's helped you out so many times. That's really, really beautiful. I go, how would your mom feel about you getting this tattoo? And he goes, she wouldn't be so happy. I go, oh, interesting. I was like, okay, that makes sense. It makes sense that your mom probably wouldn't be too happy that you'd be getting a tattoo. Hi. So I was like, okay, so that's one reason maybe you really, really want to honor your mother, but your mother wouldn't be happy with you getting this. I was like, maybe it's like that's one good reason maybe you shouldn't, maybe you wouldn't want to get it because you really want to honor your mother. What's the best? If
you really love chocolate, you wouldn't eat it.
Yeah, exactly. You really love cake, you would marry cake. You're not going to marry the cake. So yeah, exactly. So you wouldn't need it if you really loved it, because you wouldn't want to get rid of it. If you really love money, you would never spend it. You would never give it away. So so that was one thing. But I knew that I could see when I said that to him, it didn't hit. So I took it a step further because I knew for me in particular that the reason, like I said before, the reason I wanted to get tattoos is because I wasn't taking the actions every day to show that this is who I am. Because if, like we said, the ikar is the maisa. The main thing is that is the action. So if you really want to be something, do something, you have to do an action. What you want to do a mitzvah, you have to do an action. You can't just do a mitzvah by thinking about the mitzvah. You actually have to do it. Otherwise, you didn't do it. It's not you. You're not there. So for the same exact thing, so I asked him. I said, you really love your mother? He goes, yeah. She's such a big influence. I love her so much. I go, when was the last time you called your mom? I'm like, you could see he was getting like real uncomfortable at that point. So I was like, aha, I hit it. And that was exactly it. I was like, I knew this is exactly why he wants to get a tattoo, is because he sees in himself that he's not taking the actions in his everyday to actually honor his mother, to show that he loves his mom. So I said, if you really want to show that your mom that you love her, and you really want to make it a part of you really want to show to yourself that you love your mother, call her. Make a haklata that you're going to call your mom twice a month. That's easy. That's an easy one to do. Once every other Sunday, call your mother. You're in college. She doesn't see you often. Call your mom. And I said, after a month or two of calling your mother, if you still want to get this tattoo. I never followed up with him. I don't know, but I have a very strong feeling if he did do that, I guarantee he would. The desire to get the tattoo would naturally go away. You don't have to fight the desire to get the tattoo, because that's the desire to get the tattoo is going to be there. But the reason why he has the desire to get the tattoo, more often than not, what I found, the 90% that I found, the reason somebody wants to get a tattoo is because the actions don't align with where they are. And if you learn anything about Chassidus, what does Chassidus do? It shows you how low you are. Why? So you can see how far you can climb. That's it. So the same, a Jew wanting to get a tattoo is very fundamental to who a Jew is. They have a very strong self-awareness. They see how far away from Hashem they are, and they have the strong desire to get back to it. And a tattoo just happens to be a very quick fix way of getting back to where you are. But if you know anything about quick fixes, they don't last. Yeah, exactly. So if you change your actions to follow it, then almost always like I said, for me, I stopped getting Jewish tattoos once I started doing mitzvahs. I didn't notice until I looked back on it later that, like, when I went into a tattoo parlor, I was like, I really want a Jewish tattoo. And then when I started wrapping tefillin and keeping kosher and doing Shabbos and all these other things, I didn't care about getting a Jewish tattoo. I was Jewish. Everything in my life that I was doing, I was Jewish. I didn't have to prove to anybody or show anyone or prove to myself that I'm a Jew. I didn't need a sign on my hand to show that I'm Jewish. I'm wrapping a sign every day that I'm Jewish, I'm wearing levushim that I'm Jewish, yeah.
You're saying it's a superficial shortcut.
Oh, 100%. Exactly. And literally that's all a tattoo is. Because if it was real, then I wouldn't have a desire to get a tattoo again afterwards. Even though I have this exhilarating rush from the pain of it, I wouldn't have the desire anymore.
Can I ask, what's the relationship between tattoos and substances?
Substance abuse, like addiction?
Yes.
It's almost the exact same. The relationship with anything, any gashmias is going to be exactly like this.
When I was in college or medical school, there was a tattoo parlor in the neighborhood that seemed to be a lot of heroin addicts.
Oh, hanging around. Right. Nowadays, it's totally different scene in a tattoo parlor. Everyone's smoking weed nowadays, but typically people aren't doing heroin and tattoos. Unfortunately, was it the weed or the heroin? Or the tattoo parlors, Baklal. All of it is shtus. But I found nowadays you don't see it so much because tattoos are probably way more expensive, and so the heroin addict can't afford to get a tattoo nowadays. Just in general, but I'm sure they would be hanging around if they could afford it. There's something about the same feeling that you get from drugs and from tattoos is very similar. So that makes sense that they would go hand in hand. That there's some sort of escape that you're trying to do. Why are you getting a tattoo? Because my actions don't align with who I am. So I'm trying to escape my reality in some way. I'm trying to cheat or shortcut my way out of how I'm being right now, without having to put in the work to actually get away from it, to feel the way.
Just get the needle and no ink.
Yeah, sure. You could do that. But, right. 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 Do you actually love your mom? If you love your mom, your actions would reflect that. Now it's very easy to get someone that, because they have such a strong desire to get the tattoo, then for them to actually take the action to get to that place is very that the margin is very slim between the two. It's very easy to get someone who wants a tattoo to take action because they're already willing to do something crazy and painful and permanent. So to say, hey, instead of like, you could get a tattoo, just get a tattoo a week from now after calling your mom every day for the week. To get them to do the action is very easy because the desire is already there for them to do that thing. That's the approach that I would take with kids. Same in recovery, exactly the same. Yeah, Tanya, 12 steps. That's it. 12 steps of Tanya. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
It's easier to fall down, quicker to fall down the ladder.
Yes, 100%. But the thing is, if you start telling them right away, like if you told me what you told me earlier, I'd be like, fuck, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He's from his whole life. He doesn't know me. He doesn't understand. Yeah, but you can't attack the desire. You have to see what's behind it, and once you're able to pull that out, it's just curiosity. Just start asking questions about it. Because once you start stigmatizing it, then they're like, oh, then for sure they want to do it, and they're angry at you, and also that adds to the fire of it. You have to normalize it as much as possible. Normalize it as much as possible. Like, oh, you want a tattoo? Very cool. And like the rabbi thinks getting a tattoo is cool. That's now they're going to be makabel to you. Before, it's very hard to make a makabel unless you show that you're on the same level of them at some point.
How do you relate to people in your community that for sure the first they look at is
the tattoos? It depends on if I'm with my wife or not. My wife is a little bit more shocking, I think, for people than I am in some cases. She doesn't have no tattoos. She's lived a more from life than I ever lived. She basically kept kosher her whole life. Was a very, very straight edge girl. Never got in any trouble. Was very never had any boyfriends growing up. Was very very straight edge. Makabel means to accept. Yeah. Acceptance, yeah. To bring in close.
Probably very good for opening doors.
It's been unbelievable. Now, in my community in Hadera, you mean, in particular? The thing is with the community in Hadera, it's been, most people there are like more modern Orthodox style. They're not so shocked. I think also B'Klal in Israel, there's because in Hadera in particular, it's a very non-American place. So most of the Americans or English speakers who are living there have already been kind of like exposed to a non-American style of living. Whereas here it's probably a little bit more shocking to see. Exactly. So exactly. In Hadera, if you hear English, you're like, oh my gosh, what? Oh, let me come talk to you. You're like, it sticks out because everyone there is speaking Russian or Hebrew and some French. For all the people that don't want to live in Netanya anymore, they moved up to Hadera. So. You do hear Russian before Hebrew a lot of times, yeah, in Hadera for sure. So for the Americans there, they're not so shocked at me and like the tattoos because I guess like for most Israelis, seeing a frum guy with tattoos is like a relatively normal thing. Because a lot of guys make tshuva later on and they're in the army. They did crazy stuff as kids, but then they got more conservative as they got older, whatever it was. Because here it's more of a political thing than it is like a spiritual thing in Israel for a lot of Israelis. And so, because they love Bibi, they're wearing now a kippah and tzitzis. Okay, shkoyach, that's good, whatever. Like it's fine. So it's for them, I feel like it's a lot less like whoa. I mean, obviously they're curious, they want to know about it, but I've noticed that they're a lot less impressed, so to speak, or are drawn in because of the tattoos specifically. Now on Instagram, I'm relatively big on Instagram. And I've had crazy stories from Instagram alone where I've gotten tons of people to wrap tefillin. Actually, I did a podcast. I'm starting a podcast. I did a couple episodes already. And I did one with my brother and someone commented on the YouTube and was like, hey, I'm super tatted up. Like, I want to ask your advice. So I was like, okay, message me. So he messaged me. He happens to live in Pittsburgh, where I'm from originally. I was like, oh, that's crazy. I have this kid in Pittsburgh who's obsessed with wrapping people with tefillin. And I was like, please reach out to him. I gave him the contact number, and I think he was supposed to wrap this week. He was nervous about reaching out because he's his mom's Jew, but his dad's Catholic. He grew up Catholic in Pittsburgh, but he's a Yid. He's 100% a Yid, and he's tattooed up, so he's like really nervous about like getting involved in that sort of thing. But like that just happened last week. But for me, that's like a Baruch Hashem. It's a very normal occurrence. I had another kid from London. He messaged me. He said he has a barber who's from Puerto Rico or Brazil. I can't remember. One of the two. And he said he was getting his hair cut by this guy. And the next day he's going to the airport. He's flying to America or Israel somewhere. I can't remember. So during the haircut, the guy happens to mention that his mom's a Jew. The kid getting a haircut is like a more frum guy. So he starts asking him all these questions, like, they're really like trying to really figure out. And they're like, yeah, they came from here, and they followed it back. And he's like, holy cow, this guy's Jewish. So he's like, oh, you gotta wrap the fill in. You gotta come to Shabbos with us. And the guy's like, no. He's like, I can't. He's like, look, I'm covered in tattoos. I can't possibly wrap the fill in. I can't go to shul. I can't do that sort of thing. He's like, look at me. I'm covered in tattoos. So the kid follows me on Instagram, pulled out his phone, shows him my page, goes, look, this guy also is covered in tattoos, but look at all the stuff he's doing. So the guy was like, okay, fine, I'll wrap the fill in. So the next day on his way to the airport, he stopped at the barber shop and he wrapped the fill in with the guy. And then that Shabbos he came to, yeah. So I have a lot, Baruch Hashem, a lot of these sort of stories. Now I'm like 11, 12,000, something like that on Instagram. Thank God. Yeah. That's good. Yeah. My purple belt in jiu-jitsu. I also did MMA. Yeah. So before I really did tshuva, like full on, like when I stopped doing the back and forth life. Yeah. I was living in San Diego. I was teaching at the Krav Maga Academy in San Diego. I was an instructor, and at the time I was pursuing MMA as a career. Like I wanted to be a professional fighter, and which is why I got like the hand tattoo, and I have my back tattoo. You've seen it, yeah. I also my whole leg is covered here. I'm all the way around, yeah. So that's what I'm saying, yeah. So that was like my goal was to be a professional fighter. That's what I wanted. I was going to be the Jewish Conor McGregor. Like that was going to be my thing. And so I was living in San Diego. I was training every day, and that's where I got my purple belt. So I was there. Like I would be training 3 times a day. Like that's my career. So I'd wake up. I would sometimes I would drive to the Chabad in San Diego, and I would do my chakras there. Then I would go run on the beach. What? Tiffenbrunn and Leader. I could keep naming San Diego Shluchim if you want. Zagway, yeah, Zagway's up there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Gym, I was going to Victory. Alliance. It's Alliance Victory. Yeah, it's the same thing. Oh, no, I didn't go there. No, I was Dean Lister and those guys. Dominic Cruz. Yeah. That's who I was. Yeah, exactly. Those are the guys I was running with. Yeah. So yeah, it was very cool. I was surrounded by all these stars, and I was like, yeah, it was like living the dream, so to speak. And living in San Diego, it's like Gashmias, Gan Eden. It's Gashmias, yeah. Oh, Gashmias is like materialistic things, materialism. It's Gan Eden for materialism in San Diego. And so like there's beaches and there's beautiful people and amazing treif non-kosher food, and it's incredible. Never go. And so I was there, and I was really like living a full, other than like chakras in the mornings, and sometimes I would crash on the couch at Chabad. So I would keep Shabbos. I would literally sleep on the couch in the Chabad house. Otherwise, I wouldn't be keeping Shabbos. So in the weeks I wanted to keep Shabbos, I would crash there. In the weeks I didn't, I would be partying. So I was living a very, very Gashmias life. I had a non-Jewish girlfriend who had moved in with me. We were living together, and along the lines, like I was very proud to be Jewish. So I told her, I was like, I really like you. I would like to get married someday. I will marry you, but you have to be Jewish. And so she's like, okay, fine. Wasn't a problem for her. So she started taking classes, Orthodox conversion classes. And about halfway through, or a few months into these classes, she's learning a lot. She's going to more classes than I am. And she starts teaching me about Judaism. And that freaked me out big time, because I'm like, I think I'm this big hot shot. I was in yeshiva in Mayanot. I went to Morristown. And so I thought, like, I know everything there is to know about Judaism. I'm like the most frum guy in my family. I've been the only Jewish people that most people know. And this non-Jewish girl who's been learning for a few months is teaching me stuff about Judaism. Freaked me out beyond belief. I was like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. And it happened to be Hashgacha Pratis, divine intervention. a kid who I went to college with. He became frum once he graduated. He went to Ma'anot. At the time, he had gone to Hadar Torah, which is the first Baal Tshuva yeshiva in the world. It's in Crown Heights in Brooklyn. It's like the Chabad, the Rebbe's yeshiva for Baal Tshuvas, for people who are becoming. Rabbi Goldberg, that's the one and only. The Rebbe's genius. So, he calls me up and he says, "Hey, when was the last time you were in yeshiva?" And I was like, it's been a while. I've been living a pretty crazy life for the past year or two. And so he's like, hey, this yeshiva is doing a yeshivacation. They're doing like a winter program. You come for 10 days over the winter, and you stay in yeshiva full time, and then you can go back to your life afterwards. So I said, okay, you know what? This girl in my life, I didn't tell him this, but this non-Jewish girl in my life is teaching me about Judaism. I could use a little like boost, a little injection of Yiddishkeit that I think that'll make me feel a little bit more better about this. So I said, okay, I'll come. So I fly to New York. I'm there for 10 days. And on the second to last day, the Mashpia, Wurzburg, calls me into his office, Rabbi Wurzburg, and he sits me down. He goes, "Nu, so you're joining us full time?" I was like, "You're crazy?" I was like, "You know the life I'm living in San Diego? Like, you think I'm gonna leave the sunny coast, the beach, to come live in a cold yeshiva with not so good food and mold and stuff? Like, you're crazy." And so he starts asking me these questions. Starts asking me a couple different questions, and he says this. So he goes, "Let me ask you, are you you're planning on marrying Jewish, right?" I go, "Yeah, of course I'm gonna marry Jewish." He doesn't know about my non-Jewish girl back home, but I was like, "Yeah, of course I'm marrying Jewish." And he goes, "Okay, so you're gonna have Jewish kids." I said, "Bezrat Hashem." So he said, "You're gonna send them to a Jewish school." So yeah, of course. I wanted to give my kids an education that I never got growing up, because I saw that the difference. Like I wanted them to have what I wasn't given. And so he says, "Okay, so your kids are gonna go to a Jewish school. They're probably gonna learn Gemara in the school." I said, "If it's a good Jewish school, they're gonna learn Gemara." He goes, "Okay, so what's gonna happen? They're gonna bring the Gemara home from school. They're gonna come down. They're gonna say, Tati. They're gonna say, Dad, come teach me this Gemara. And what are you gonna do?" So you don't know Gemara. So what's gonna be? Are you gonna teach your kids Gemara, or are they gonna teach you Gemara? Now he doesn't know that this non-Jewish girl's been teaching me about Judaism, and that like crushed me. So I was like, he just got me again, like right in the guts, and I was like, oh my gosh, like that would be the worst thing in the world for me. I would feel so inadequate as a husband and as a father to be like, my kids have to teach me about Judaism when I'm trying to give this to them. I was like, that's crazy. I was like, oh man, he got me. I was like, oh, so you could see he could see that he had struck a chord. And so he said, "You know what, just make a 3-month commitment. You don't come just 3 months, that's it. Then you go back to whatever life you were living before." So for me, 3 months did seem like, okay, 3 months is not so crazy. I was here for 10 days. 3 months is not so wild. So I said, okay, let me call my boss back home. And I was like, at first I told him I can't do it, because I was like, I have college debt, I have all these things. I was like, I can't just stop working. Like I can't. I have a job in San Diego. I'm teaching martial arts. Like I can't just stop working. So he said, "You know what? I'll get someone to sponsor you. I'll have them pay you to come for 3 months." And I was like, I don't have to pay anything, and you're gonna pay me to come learn. I was trying to think of other things that I could get out of learning yeshiva, but he was making it very, very hard. In hindsight, I should have come up with a few more things, see if he would give it to me also. But when he said he would pay me, I said, okay, fine, I'll make it happen. So I flew back to San Diego. I spoke with my boss. I said, hey, I'm going to go, and next month I'm going to go for 3 months to this yeshiva. I was like, if you still have a job for me when I come back, I'd really appreciate it. She said, not a problem. I'll hold the spot open for you. Amazing. So I only had to speak with my non-Jewish girlfriend. So I spoke with her and I said, hey, I want to go to this yeshiva and learn a lot about Judaism. I think it'll help you on your journey and help me, whatever, everyone. It'll help everyone all together. Let's. And she said, you know what? I think it'll be good for you. You should go. I was like, wow, amazing. This non-Jewish girl is letting me go to yeshiva. I felt like Rabbi Akiva, like his wife is sending him off to yeshiva, go learn. And so I was like, amazing. So I flew to New York. I was there for 3 months, about 2.5 months in. And this is I've been to yeshiva a few different times before. I was Morristown, but I was still in college during those times. I was still pretty young, and I wasn't such a serious guy. And now that I'm thinking about marriage and my life, what's going to be next, I was like, okay, I'm going to sit and learn like very seriously. And I'm here for 3 months. I'm going to make the most out of it. So I'm sitting and I'm learning very seriously for 2.5 months. And I realized 2.5 months in, one of the first things we talked about was the more you know, the more you realize you don't know, right? So I realized 2.5 months in that 3 months in yeshiva is like nothing. Like I can only learn enough to know that I don't know anything in 3 months of yeshiva. So I realized 2.5 months in, I don't know anything. So I made the call back to my non-Jewish girlfriend. I said, hey, I'm realizing now that 3 months is not going to be enough time for me to really learn. I was like, if you really want me to be a good husband and a good father, you want me to be here full time. And I said, anyway, it's probably best that we're separate before you go to Beis Din, whatever, do your conversion. So it'll be good for you. You're learning and I'm learning, and then we'll come together after a year when we're both ready to do it, to get married. And she, of course, says, no. She says, no way, bro. I didn't sign up for this. That's what she said. She said, it's not what I want. I thought you're coming back. Now that you're not coming back, I don't want this anymore. I said, oh, Baruch Hashem. So I finished up my 3 months. I flew to San Diego. I gave her my car. I got rid of half of my stuff. And then I flew back to New York, and I was in yeshiva full time for 2 years. And that's like when I like made full shkoyach. Oh, like, did she ever become Jewish in the end? No, no. No, she's living her best life in San Diego. Thank God. The Gashmias. Why? Because I drove it across the country when I moved to San Diego the first time. I made a cross-country trip, and I wasn't going to drive it back again. I forget it. It's too much. I didn't need it. I'm going to be in yeshiva anyway. What do I need a car for? Sit and learn full time, it's easier. Yeah. And then Baruch Hashem, I got married. I moved to Colorado. And then Baruch Hashem, I got divorced. I moved back to Crown Heights. And then I worked for Chabad.org as well. Chabad One. So if you don't have CRM, no, but you have a site. You have a Chabad One site, yeah. So I've been working for them full time. I lived in Crown Heights for a year and a half, 2 years almost. And then I Baruch Hashem met a girl from Israel, and now I'm back here. Thank God. In Chedera. Yeah. That's the short ending.
Where did you daven in Denver?
I davened at the Chabad of Denver. Yeah.
Wow, this was absolutely amazing. I want to thank you very, very much. You deserve a big, big round of applause.
Yeah.
Thank you very, very much. I also want to thank Rabbi Morozov for organizing this beautiful event. Thank each and every one of you for coming. And to me personally, your story is a story of Dor Shvi, the Rebbe generation. Unbelievable how someone can come from such a. It's not. I'm not talking about the low. I'm talking about the back and forth and the.
That was the hardest part, by the way.
The going and coming back, and it's absolutely amazing. It's so inspiring for me, and you should have lots of atzlacha in your shlichus over here in Israel.
Amen.
This is. I was just the video we had this Friday, Motzei Shabbos. Sorry about that. Motzei right after Shabbos. We have a video every week of the right after Shabbos of the Rebbe, and this week was about 50 years. This year, right now. It's 50 years since the Rebbe sent a group of 22 shluchim to Israel. And the next year he sent another, I don't know exactly, I think 10 or 15. And the third year, this is 76, 77, 78. And the Rebbe says in their Sikha, this was a very special, the Rebbe handpicked the shluchim to come here to Israel. And he said, these are special, and anybody that follows them. So it's very, very special to be shluchim here in Israel. It's definitely not as...
It's not the same.
Exactly.
That's for sure not the same.
And I'm looking forward to seeing all of you every Tuesday night. We have a class of Chassidus in English with Rabbi Morozov, and we have classes during the Beit Midrash in the mornings. Special Wednesday, every Wednesday, 10 to 12 for women, and for men, Tuesdays and Sundays and Tuesdays from 10 to 12. So you're more than welcome to join us. And once a month, a special lecture. And so this it's been amazing. And you're welcome to write down your name, number, so we can.
I want to mention on the back, besides for the tzedakah box, which you're welcome to. There's a flyer that you can scan the QR code.
And if you guys have any other questions,
now is a great time for questions. B'kasha, yeshakach.
Thank you.
Amazing. I have a question right here.
Yeah.
Jewish. More likely the owner type promotion.
when they're at the point of getting a tattoo. It was in context of someone has a desire to get a tattoo. It's usually paired with a strong desire to reach a place that they are not currently at. And if they're willing to take the action of getting a tattoo, it means that they're willing to do something very drastic and crazy. And taking an action is actually a little bit less drastic and crazy than getting a tattoo. It also costs a lot less money. So to get them to do an action is usually a lot easier when they're already in that mindset, when they're already there.
How do you apply this principle that you demonstrated, right?
Yeah.
Making, I guess, integrating your values and your actions is basically what you're saying.
Sure. Yeah.
So how do you, there's so many people hidden out there who aren't doing Jewish actions.
Yes.
And
For now.
But let's say, take it out of the tattoo context.
Sure.
How do you further apply your principles? Let's say, like, many of us have family members.
Yeah.
Who are, they deep down what they want, but it's not so easy. It's not convenient. It's comfortable.
Right.
They change it. Shabbos.
Yeah.
So how do you, as a rabbi, apply this principle to outside of
the tattoo world? Yeah. Well, the main thing why it works so well within the tattoo realm is, like I said, you can see that the desire is there. If a person is not willing to take action or not willing to do something crazy or drastic, it's almost impossible to get them to do anything. And you find many times, I said earlier, that the Rebbe said, but also like any Rav is very careful should be very careful not to tell someone to do or not do something if they don't think the person will listen to them. Because you're basically putting a stumbling block in front of the person. Like on Shabbos, if someone's breaking Shabbos,